Hello everyone. I believe we should get the of course there's always one in there. How is he gonna... that's what it is. Just waiting for everything... Well, just waiting to see what I should and shouldn't be gonna do. Don't know if we're gonna try and get a replacement on the fly. Might be only going with 14. Every tyre must be used. It's 36 laps. One tyre must be done on each... Well, one lap must be done on each tyre. Hello to everyone that's just joining. I believe settings is proper. Afternoon, yeah, we got a couple of, yeah, no, it looks like everything's started. Everything is sorted. And then just double check the starting grid. That is going to be your starting grid today. Evan, Thrakus, Juho, tier 5. The qualifiers here. Then you got Jamie, Reno, and Perry, the tier 4s. Hello. You got Hurricane and Arthur is going to be representing the tier 3s. Joe, Simon, Jill, and Capale representing tier 2, and BX and Viking. They're the two that are going to be representing tier 1 because Marco had flaked on us in the last seconds. I need to figure out what is actually happening. I need to get up the YouTube as well. That way I can keep an eye on the comments. I know they come up in the bottom corner of my screen. However, they get cut off rather consistently. So, first things first, before we get started, everyone hear me all right? Everyone, my mic sounds fine. No problems there. Okay, I'm assuming, right? Everyone can hear me. Yep, all good. Oh, fat man. You got 12 people in there. Are we going? I need to figure out whether or not we're going first. Because I can very easily, this would be very easily done, just doing it as we are. But I need to figure out if we're going to try and figure out a last second. Just one more look over on the grid. That looked alright to me. Just apply. Didn't change anything. The settings also all look good to me. Everyone's had a little bit of time to practice now, considering what is going on. Which means I think it is high time we started this race. What does everyone think? Give me predictions. Give me predictions for this race, because we're going now. The servers are good. The servers are good. Yep. I say that until about 4 seconds time when my game decides it doesn't want to function. And we don't get a fire. We don't actually get a start off. This is gonna be fun, isn't it? Hey, we've got red lights. 4, 5 red lights. And lights down, away we go. Who's going to get the start? Evan has apparently decided he isn't starting whatsoever. which means that I think he actually got a bump from Juho behind, going to keep him in the lead off of turn 1. Now we go down into the first heavy braking zone of the race entirely, and Frackers is going to go over the side of Reno here, and maybe a little bit deep. Hurricane gets up into 4th immediately. He's off to a good start. Reno up into 2nd as well, Tier 4 and Tier 3 off to an absolute flyer at the start of this race. Jamie not so much though, at the moment, fighting with someone in the midfield. There's also a bit of a problem. I think Capelle's gone to the back. Yeah, Capelle, Perry, Arthur, all not having the greatest of starts in the world, and come together again. Arthur onto the grass. That is not good news for Tier 3. Capelle and Arthur not having the greatest of starts whatsoever here. We go up the grid. It looks like Fracas has just hit the wall. He's dropped off from the lead of this race. I might need to turn down my game volume. Game volume is in fact extremely loud as of right now. I can't tell if everything is fine for you guys or not. But as for now, it looks like we've got Irvin and Reno looking into looking for to fight for the first position. We go up toward the end of the first lap here. Irvin doing well in that Ferrari, a little bit deep. I think that was from Juho Finn in the background. It might open up the door for someone else sooner. Oh, that looks like a Hurricane on the inside. Game volume is good. Oh, Reno's out! Reno has spun it round! Reno has spun it round. I'm not sure if there's any sort of contact or anything there between him and Hurricane, but his car's round. He is into the wall immediately, and Irvin started on the hard tyre. There's no real way I can see that apart from scrolling through and looking at the bottom corner. He started on the hard tyre. He got off of that tyre immediately. Jamie on the hards. He's going to do more than one lap actually, as Juho sits himself behind as we go into turn 1 once again. Simon deep, but it looks like someone else. Multiple people have gone off. It's Jill and Perry. Perry and Jill off into the gravel at turn 1. They're going to go fight again now, and Jill looks to the inside. We're going to focus on this one a little bit. Go back to the minimap in a moment's time, and I think Jill is just about going to hold on to that. Perry looking a little bit shaky behind him. Going back up the grid. Fracas versus BX Royal is not a sentence I thought I'd be saying. Of course, I'd have to say at some point, he has to get through. But I thought it'd be more in the pits than anything else, and BX does eventually get up into 7th, Viking, the other Tier 1 driver, in 6th already. Simon currently in 5th. He's just a little bit off Juho and Joe, who are currently going to fight themselves into the latter parts of this lap. It doesn't look like there's an awful lot going on between the two of them. Joe up into 3rd. Joe having a pretty good second lap. You know, Jamie in 2nd. He's currently in the Lexus. He might be one of the favourites if he can keep the car on the track. You'd see a few of these guys, well, most of these guys have been promoted. It looks like we got a dive bomb down in 4th, and it looks like Simon on the inside got that perfectly done. Juho caught sleeping. Definitely caught sleeping there, and Simon just takes advantage in that Corvette. See if he can hold off the other Corvette who's coming up behind him, and Juho Finn, who's decided that he's not done with Simon yet. They're going to head toward turn 1 and then turn 2 to go through turn 1 now. And then down into turn 2, and Juho has to just stick behind him for a little bit longer, but Simon hits the gravel on the outside. Viking also gets past Juho on the inside of the same corner. There's a lot of things happening at the moment. It looks like Joe's just sitting in front of Viking, who's managed to get in front of his Corvette friend here in Simon. Viking up into 3rd already. A couple of guys have already paired off of the hard tyres. Jamie and Irvin have both come off of those hard tyres. Juho looking to the inside of Simon, doesn't get it. Having to to defend, rather than, to BX behind. BX looking really good at the moment. But we'd expect that Tier 1 would be pretty much nailed on to hit the front at some point in this race. This is a race of champions. To have qualified for this race, you must have won at least one. It's 36 laps from the top top left-hand corner of your screen. You've got a bit of a battle going on, unless your name's Hurricane, who's decided he is done. He is going away already, 6 seconds ahead of the battle we've got in front of us. Simon looking to the inside there a little bit against Viking, but it looks awful. It continues to look awful. He might have just about saved that from the wall, maybe a little bit of a scrape. It cost him the position of BX, who's managed to get up to 4th. And yeah, Simon can't be affording too many of those in this one. It looks like Fracas might have a go. If Fracas can have a go, this would be pretty good for his ego at the moment, down the inside of turn 2. Doesn't get it going, but that's a gravel of Juho behind him. Yeah, that's Juho in the gravel behind. We've got a freeway battle behind us as well. Behind that, as Perry, Arthur and Jill trying to get themselves involved with Juho after his mistake now. It looked like, yeah, it looked like Perry's going to have a good go at this. Perry on the outside at the moment. Arthur, there's a Jill in the background, which I think Arthur's actually managed to win for the moment in time. Yeah, he has, and the outside. He's going to have to put up with me calling him Jill the entire time, by the way. I'm pretty sure it's wrong, but as I've started it, I might as well finish it now. Here comes Jill again. Him and Arthur's going to have a go all the way through this lap by the looks of things. We've got a little bit of a battle in the front, but this is neck by neck, so we're going to continue to watch this as the Mazda is just doing enough at the moment in time, just about to hold on. We're actually going to take a look further up the grid now. We've got a freeway between Joe, Viking and BX. BX a little bit further up, and Viking going to the inside of the second to last to try and get second place. Joe's got a little bit of an awful time there, and Joe just could not get his car straightened up and had to use BX on the outside to do so. But BX is going to take that position nonetheless. He's probably not too complaining, as he's done 4 laps on the hards and has decided that's enough time. He comes in to pit off of those hard tyres at this point in this race. Let's see what else we can get in terms of a battle. Fracas trying to hold on to Simon, who's got into the gravel, and he's taken out Fracas in the meantime too. That is incredibly unfortunate. Fracas has not got regained control of his car by any means. That is incredibly unfortunate for Fracas. It looked like he had Simon done dead to rights for a bit there. An unfortunate bounce off. I think BX may have crossed the pit lane line, but I'm not entirely sure, and I didn't get a good enough angle of it to really know, as it looked like Arthur's had a bit of a nightmare on the last lap or so. He's dropped down to 10th, Reno and Jill up to 8th and 9th respectively. And let's see what else we can see with the grid on right now. It looks like Fracas versus Perry is going to continue on. We're actually going to go take a quick look at this battle. They're going to go side by side into the 90-degree corner here. This is tap. Okay. Okay. I don't know if there was this much carnage in the last ROC. I was not involved at any point. But this one has been utter chaos at the first, like the second corner. Sardegna, the gravel trap is killing everyone. Perry managing to get past Fracas, and that might live in the hands of Juho sooner rather than later. Let's see if anyone is actually in the business of doing something at the front. Hurricane currently 8 seconds ahead of Viking. Joe 2 seconds ahead of Simon in third. Viking 1.5 ahead of Joe. Perry 3 seconds off the back of Simon. He currently sits 5th, and Fracas and Juho are still on the back of Perry up to this moment. Doesn't look like it. Does not look like it. Perry did not get a 3-second time penalty, no. It would have slowed him down there. He's still on the back of Jamie for the moment in time. Jamie still in front of the Tier 1 drivers. Going back to the battle between Fracas and Perry. Juho seems to have dropped off the back of this a little bit. We've also got a battle in behind, which we actually might go and have a look. We are going to have a look at this. It's about 0.3 of a second splitting these two at the moment. Everyone is managing to keep in touch with each other. Hurricane 8.5 seconds up the road. Bearing in mind, everyone has to do a 2-stop. That is a guarantee. This 36 lap race, you do have to do two tire changes in this one. Reno down the inside. Reno getting in front. Reno up to 8th. And he's going to hold this, even with the Ford's long braking. Should be able to hold this one against Jill. He has managed to do a good enough job against the Merc. I'm pretty sure that's the Merc 20. But for now, it doesn't look like it's going to be overtaking that Ford until Reno goes off the track. Reno goes off the track. That could open the door, but he doesn't take it. I would have sent something down the inside there, 100%. Jill decided to back off and wait. Viking was on the hard the entire time, waited till lap 6 to pit off of those hards. Oh, Jill does not look great on the exit of the final corner there. To be honest, Reno didn't look much better. We got Arthur's back into the mix here a little bit as well. We go back up the grid. No battles at this point in time. Let's see if anything has happened further down the grid. Outside of this freeway battle, Capel 9 seconds off the back. He hasn't pitted yet, I don't believe. No, he hasn't, not through 6. And it looked like BX has got past Jamie. And these are nets. We're going trying to get to net P1 of this race, especially net P2. That's what Jamie pitted from on lap 1. And BX had got past. So BX, with the undercut on Viking, has managed to get himself into net P2 of this race. Viking a considerable amount of the way off right now. Hurricane still has a very strong hold on this one. Evan 11 seconds off the back. He had a great start in that Ferrari, but it didn't last very long. We're going to continue to look further up the grid. Is BX closing in on Capel? It's only 5 seconds at the moment of time. And then back to this battle, which is split by 0.8 of a second either side of 8th position here. I'm glad I've got a drink for this, because this is going to be long if not. There you go, back to broadcast camera. I'm not entirely sure what happened there. But for now, it looks like we're going to continue on with the race as it is. It looks like Arthur's dropped back off the back of this Mercedes. Reno getting closed in on, but the straight line speed is going to absolutely obliterate the Mercedes down the straight. That Ford straight line speed is going to be absolutely piercing. It's quick and it's extremely quick in a straight line. This one has a decent chunk of them. It looks like Reno may have got a bit deep. Reno has got a bit deep, but he's managed to avoid the gravel, and that is very nice driving to save his car after spinning early on. It's about 0.7 of a second that split the two of them now. It doesn't look like Reno's under too much of a threat going through the middle part of this lap. Pretty sure we're now into sector 2. The hard's on Jill's car. He's done 7 on them at the moment. Reno on the mediums. Also racing hard on the Mazda behind them. I'm surprised people are doing a full length stint on these tyres. It is quite surprising to me. The tank would go a decent chunk of this race, maybe about, I would assume, like 20-ish laps. Oh, that Mercedes doesn't look good! It's in the wall! That Mercedes is in the wall, he could not save it! He could not save it, it looked like he had for a split second, and that is going to buy Reno some breathing space. As you see, Duo also in front. Duo must have had a bit of an error. It didn't look great for Juho there. He's lost a chunk of time to Fracas in front of him. 2 seconds slow on the lap, so he must have had a major mistake. He also had a couple of mistakes through the first few laps of this race too. But Jill spun it into the wall. That is unfortunate. He looked like he could have saved that from the grass. Originally, it looked like he had saved it from the grass originally. But, my mic is destroying your TV. Yeah, that happens. That happens. You get used to this. Simon versus Perry as well. I think Perry maybe yeah, they're going side by side. Simon and Perry right now. This would be another battle in the new season. But Simon and Perry, both tier 2 drivers in the new calendar. So here comes Simon and Perry down, well, side by side into the 90-degree corner. Is Simon going to hang this around the outside? He is not. And now Fracas is getting himself into the mix. We're 5 at the moment, and Perry actually had damage. Perry had damage. I didn't see that before. So something happened there. Perry had damage. He managed to still advance himself quite the way forward at the moment. But yeah, he had damage. It's gone now. Simon might be able to force something sooner rather than later. I think he has damage, dude. I think he has damage. We got about 0.8 of a second now between Perry and Simon. Simon just dropping off a little bit on that Mazda. However, Fracas not doing the same. The Mazda, is that the Mazda? Yeah, that's the Mazda behind as well. The Mazdas are absolutely flying. Here comes Fracas to the inside. Fracas on the inside of turn 2 finally has Simon. A move he's been wanting to make for the last 10 laps finally coming to fruition. The last time he attempted that, Simon went into the gravel and shoved him off the track, albeit unintentionally. I think Fracas will more than enjoy that overtake though. It doesn't look like those two are done fighting anytime soon. We got a little bit of a battle down behind us as well, Juho, Reno and Arthur. But as for right now, I think we can stick with the Simon Fracas deal that's going on as the two right on the back of each other going down into the 90-degree corner. Doesn't look like Simon's going to bite on this one though, he isn't. And he is just going to, for the moment in time, sit behind that Mazda who's currently on its soft tyres, so you'd expect this to just be plain and simply two-stop race. This has to be some variation of hard, medium, soft. See a couple. We saw one driver pit after lap 1. We saw a couple pit after lap 4. It's a variance of strategy right now. Continue to watch Simon versus Fracas to see if anything is going to happen behind us. Straight line speed. I think Fracas is trying to move and break the toe, which he is. It doesn't look like he's going to do that very well. Simon's going to get into the slipstream. You're only allowed to make one move on and off the racing line. Simon's too far back, and I think Arthur's just gone into the pit off the hard tyre. Capale going to join him off the mediums. Viking, right now in his own little world, 2 seconds ahead of Jamie, and Jamie 14 seconds ahead of Urban. And BX is nearly 5 seconds up the road on the Tier 1 champion. The Tier 1 champion right now just not getting anything going against his Tier 1 title rival. And it's all BX at the moment. BX has just made another overtake. Same car. Actually, that's not the truth. The same car, it's far from the truth actually. It's SLS that has been driven by BX in a 16 actually. Driven by Jill in 9th place. Now BX, that's a bit... You don't want to be doing that too often. That's a bit wide. Gets a little bit of the grass. You're playing with a little bit of fire there if you do that too often. We've got a little bit of a fight going on still between Simon and Fracas as Simon has finally got by on the Mazda yet again. These two tossing and turning in terms of positions for 4th and 5th of this race so far. As we go toward the end of lap 11 of 36. The real question is how many people, if anyone, get lapped? It doesn't look like Simon's having too much fun there, getting on the grass way too often. Fracas going pretty deep into the final corner and almost outside of that second gap. He doesn't want to be too far away from Simon at this point. And it looked like Reno has just come off of the medium tyre. Maybe he's going a bit more than just the 2-stop, unless he's going for a long time on those on the hards. I know that Ford has a relatively decent tank, maybe not the greatest, but a relatively decent one. And yeah, Fracas has just lost a little bit of his way against Simon here. I think that means we're going to actually try and take a view, see if we can get a different battle. Perry is closing in on Joe, and we'll have to keep an eye on that one as we go along. What about further back? BX in his own little world, same with Viking, 4 seconds either side. Jamie currently 7.5 up on Reno. As Irvin just seems to be disappearing into the tail end of this pack very quickly. Tier 5 not really being able to hang at the moment. Couple of minute and 14 back. Tier 2 also having an absolute nightmare. They're currently sitting second and last and second last. Alpha in Tier 3 currently sitting in 12th. Fifth tier Irvin. 11th. Reno in 10th was in Tier 4. Jamie in 9th. All these guys have pit up to this point. Let's have a quick check-in on the battle, and Perry is actually going into pit off of that soft tyre. Some pre-planned strategy here, because they're not using, they're not actually using up all the fuel that is going on the tyre at the moment, and they're certainly not using up all the tyre wire. So definitely some pre-planned strategy going on in this race, and yeah, Hurricane is gone. Hurricane currently 12 seconds up the road. Let's see if we do a commentator's curse on him anytime soon. That's too close for comfort. That's what I'll say about that. And Perry has gone into pit, so Joe now has 5 seconds of a gap in his Aston Martin. 1.9 now separates Simon and Fracas. As we go down, Juho in his own little world, 5 seconds either side of him. BX actually lost a little bit of time there, I think, to Juho since the last time we checked, even though we've just seen him go for the fastest first sector of the entire race. BX is going to close that in relatively quickly now, actually, as you see it, 5 and 6 times per second just disappeared off the board. Viking still 4.5 back, needs to get into a little bit of a groove right now, because he isn't getting anywhere near his Tier 1 compatriot at the moment. He is off in the distance, let's just say that, and is chunking out of Juho. Another half a second gone in the second sector of this lap, as Hurricane now comes into pit with 2% fuel left on his, in his Mazda. Yeah, Vision is OP, and that's why it's banned in basically every single tier for the rest for next season. I think it's every tier bar the first. Fracas also into the pits on his soft tyres in his Mazda. Simon continuing on the medium tyre in his Chevrolet at the moment. Don't believe there has been a pit stop for him. There might be in the near future if he keeps doing that, and he has kept doing that. He's on the grass again. It was the gravel earlier on, it's the grass now. You don't want to be doing that too many times. He's all over the place at the moment. Those tires are warm, and you cannot get away with this. That has just cost Simon a ton of time. Hurricane actually comes out in P3. The Tier 1 drivers have well and truly taken over at this point of the race. Well, it's like Hurricane likes the deep line in this corner. To see him do it every single time, that was probably one of the more effective times we've seen him do that line. Viking 3.4 seconds up the road. He is 4.8 seconds ahead of Tier 4 Jamie behind him. Hurricane obviously moving to Tier 2 for the upcoming season. Actually, I think there's only 2 people in this entire race that hasn't moved up. Joe, Simon both haven't moved up. Simon's in the wall again, or just come out of it. I think this is BX coming up behind him. And BX is going to have to find a way to navigate his way past. Joe has gone off of the hard tyres now. He did a full stint on them. Here comes BX against Simon. Simon still has to pit. BX doesn't. Well, BX does technically still have to pit, but not at this point in time. Simon losing out drastically to that SLS. That SLS in a straight line doing pretty well. Corvette not having a nice time whatsoever as BX into the lead of this race for real now. Maybe a little bit deep. Oh, he's playing with fire a little bit there. You do not want to see too much of that gravel coming up. It will kill your car if it gives the chance. Viking 3.9 seconds off the back of Simon. Needs to start chunking in the times. Hurricane 3.9 behind Viking. I think if he got third in this race, he would not be complaining. It looks like Jamie currently sits on top of the wall in tier 4 for the tier 4 drivers at the moment. Reno a little bit further back. Perry 9.4 seconds off the back of his tier 4 driving partner. They weren't teammates last season, but they will be pretty, well, on the same side here, let's just say that. Perry is closing in. Joe actually out behind Perry. Joe, obviously having just done a full stint on the hard tyres, we're on lap 15 of 36. I don't think anyone's getting lapped just yet. Having to take it easy on my voice at the moment. It's not banned in tier 2. Oh, well then. Might have some interesting races coming up over the next couple of over the top tiers in the next couple of seasons. Because pretty much every good car I think is banned here in tier 3 for the upcoming season. Apart from the 3 that we had unbanned that were banned last season for being too OP. Oh, Joe is not having a nice time on the exit of this corner at all. He's seemingly finding that little bit of grass on the outside every single given opportunity. He doesn't want to be doing that too often if he wants to catch up to Perry. And Simon now into the pits off of the medium tyre. It doesn't look like an awful lot is changing at the moment. BX losing a little bit of time to Viking. Viking obviously a tier 1 champion. So he's looking for something to prove here. Looking to continue the streak, continue the run. He needs it to go into next season, especially if he's going to pick an actual car this time, and instead of a hot tub. It's currently about 3.8 seconds split the two. Trying to find a actual battle on the track. Someone doesn't look the greatest out of turn 2 there. Someone has also someone into the pits right now. Juho off of the hard tyres. You know, going through, same with Jill. We're not looking through many battles right now. We're actually going to go at Capel at this point in time. Capel, tier 2, moving up to tier 1, lost out on the final day of the season. And if this race is anything to go by, he might have a little bit of a hangover from that. It doesn't look like he's in too great a form right now, Capel. Certainly seen him drive better than he has today. He is currently 1.9 seconds ahead of Arthur. He's currently on on track for his best lap of the race so far. He is on the soft tyre. But for now, this looks like arguably the closest battle, unless there's something going on between Fracas and Jill behind us. It's actually a lot closer here, 0.7 of a second. Jill's on a absolute flyer right now, one on the medium, one on the hards. Fracas on his hard stint at the moment. See how long it takes the Merc 16 tier 2 driver to get past the tier 5 driver and Fracas on the hards, in that Mazda. We know it's OP. But for now it doesn't look like an awful lot is happening. And it looks like Fracas opening up a little bit as we go through turn 2. Would expect now the twisty part of the track comes up. That Mazda on the hards is not going to be as OP as the Merc on the mediums. Certainly not when it comes to cornering on the hards anyway. Oh, Fracas doesn't look too good out of that corner, and Jill is going to make him pay. And Jill is going to make him really pay because he is half spun in 2 corners on the trot. That chicane did not treat Fracas very well at all. And Fracas barely saves it from the wall. And the Mercedes is just going to fly by. It looks like that Mercedes has got the Corvette in its sights. We've seen this battle, this freeway have been pretty consistent the entire way. But it looks like we might be heading towards yet another battle between the 3 of them. Simon is currently on his hard stint. Simon got drafted in earlier on to do a race, to do this race in particular. Maybe not had the same time to practice as some of the other guys in the lobby at this point in time. Looking into the pits now, I think, yeah, it's Jamie that's coming off of the medium tyres. Maybe there's an extra straight coming here for Jamie. Maybe those tyres might go to the end. We'll wait and see. Looks like that was Gilles' fastest lap of the race so far, as he is heavily hunting down that Corvette. Took an entire second out of it on the last lap. As Fracas has definitely fell off the pace a little bit. 44.3 for Simon, 42.6 there for Gilles. This doesn't look like to be much of a competition in this if it continues out this way. The Merc 16, I driven that the entirety of last season. It definitely knows how to turn, and it definitely knows when to put on the power. The only problem for it is straight line speed just does not exist. It looked like Simon had a bit of a problem coming out of that corner. This may open the door for the Merc. And the Merc's definitely not got the straight line speed to make an overtake here, I don't think. No, it doesn't. It's going to take the slipstream, might pull alongside. He is going to pull alongside. He is going to go to the inside. Is he going to be able to make it work? No, that is beautifully defended from Simon. And it's not going to be much of anything here for Jill. He's going to have to suffer a little bit longer. That was pretty nicely done. Oh, that's deep. That's deep. That's deep for them both. Oh, the Merc got that worse than the Corvette. Simon managed to keep that going even through the grass. And it looks like Jill has got a bit deep again. Those tyres are warming up quite drastically. Yeah, that didn't look too good for Jill either, as he has lost a little bit of track on Simon here and doesn't look all too great on those tyres, especially after the mistake a couple corners ago. Arthur in a little world of his own. Capel also is the same place. Perry versus Joe might be a battle sooner rather than later, and Viking is only 4 tenths quicker than BX since the last time we saw these two driving. It's 3.5 between them at this point in time. He's not going to catch up much if he does that. There's ever so slightly Evan and Orin away at that time that BX has currently in the lead. Medium tires, I'm pretty sure, on both cars. BX is not that far away from having a pit. I think he might go one more. Viking's got a few more extra laps left in him. Hurricane 7.9 off the back of these two. Honestly, he's done his soft stint. He's done his medium stint. He might be nailed in 3rd place. I don't think he's going to be able to get much more than that. Perry and Joe is really closing that gap. I don't think Perry's going to last too long now before that gets eaten away at. We're going to go back to Simon. No! That was almost a commentator's curse there. Turn on and Simon's in the grass, but he's managed to save that somehow. That's an excellent save. It definitely puts him at the mercy of this Mercedes. If he can get the slipstream, he might be able to drive at the same speed down the back straight and open the door into turn 2. It's awful if you have to drive that Merc 16 for its straight line speed. You get a straight like this and the Corvette's going to blow you away every day, but it hasn't really blown him away here at all. Jill looks to the inside. That's probably not the smartest of choices. I think he's trying to saw a gap and try to force it to work, only to realise he's actually nowhere near alongside, and had to back out extremely late into that one. Simon again just hitting too much grass. He's going to get away with it because Jill's not made a great turn of that chicane either. He's definitely got a better exit though. Simon trying to defend now. He has to defend the inside as Jill goes to the inside, and Jill might actually have him here, and he does have him here. That is good movement there from Jill. He got the exit of the chicane perfectly right. Maybe not the entrance to it, but he got enough just to make sure that something worked here. And here comes Simon right back at him. Simon trying to hang this to the outside. He can hang this on the outside, and he's gonna make it work, and that is two excellent moves there. One apiece by Simon and Jill, the two Tier 2 drivers who are staying in Tier 2 next season. Absolutely loving the driving at the moment. Jamie and Fracas also having a little bit of a fight in the background. The Lexus versus the Mazda. Hard tyres versus the soft. A little bit of a squirrely exit there for Jamie, and might just impede his ability to get past this Mazda on the way through down the straight. In the distance, you've got Jill and Simon actually both coming up against each other too. We're actually going to take a quick look at this one. They're going to go down the end of the straight, and Jill does not go for it, which means we quickly switch back to see if Jamie's going to go for it. And Jamie is also... Actually, it's a late send. He pulled the wrong side. He might actually be in front. He's got the inside of 4, and he has got in front. That is good. He picked his spot very late, may I add, but he picked his spot and managed to make it safe. That Lexus doing all the work in terms of the late braking. Oh, but you don't want to be doing that too often. The late braking immediately into the grass at the exit of the following chicane. You don't want to be taking that fight on. Viking now in the pits. We saw BX pit earlier on. Simon and Jill going at it once again. These two absolutely putting on a world-class race at the moment. I'm surprised Hurricane didn't just do full on the softs, full on the mediums at this point in time. It's obviously a pre-planned strategy. Simon right behind Jill at the moment. Let's see if he's able to do anything here. Maybe a little bit deep, maybe carrying a little bit more speed now. Than that Merc going through the up the hill, and now into the 90-degree left-hander. It looks a little bit good. Well, it might be a little bit deep there for Simon. He might have lost a little bit of time. That Corvette's going to have to straight line speed though. He should gain it all back immediately. Straight line speed, he'll have to slipstream, so that, oh, never mind, he's going into the pits. And Simon comes off the hard tyre. BX and Viking, both right now out in 4th and 5th. They both came out in front of Arthur. If you pit now, you can end the race, or do you need another pit? I'm assuming you need to just use all 3 tyres. And Hurricane came out, he's just doing the 1 lap on the hards, which is smart, which it does explain why he didn't do a full one either on the medium tyre. He's going on this, and he's going probably back onto the soft end this race. As for this, just simply using all 3 tyres. You can go just do an outlap and you come back in. I know that much. Very much similar to the 2-hour endurance, to the people who know about that. Joe currently has a 6-second gap on Hurricane. Hurricane, unfortunately for him, does have to pit again, which means he has to refuel as well, which means he is going to lose a ton of time on BX and Viking, who I'm pretty sure are going to the end from here. Capello slowly dragging himself back into this one, but I don't think he's going to be able to recover an awful lot. It does look like Viking has lost a chunk of time to BX as well, and that is actually the case. Actually just under a second lost in the last lap. 40.8. Never mind, that's a lot of time. It looks like going down the grid. Fracas in the pit now. Yeah, BX 40.8 is a huge lap. Huge lap. Just trying to find out whether or not we can actually see a battle as Simon spins again. Right as we switch to him. It is not a good day to be a Corvette fan. Your Tier 1 champion not really being able to do anything against BX at the moment. And your other Corvette driver on the grid is having an absolute nightmare. Simon is not having a fun time here whatsoever. Hard medium tyres for both Fracas and for, I think that was Irvin, the other one. It is. Let's see if there's anything else happening up the grid. We're actually just going to keep an eye out on the battle between first and second right now, or net P1 and 2, I'm pretty sure. Viking went onto the softs. I'm pretty sure BX also went onto the soft. So it's now pure pace right to the end of this race. You have to make 2 stops in this race regardless. I don't know if anyone wants to make 3. It would be very bold if you made 3 pit stops in this race. It looks like Viking is closing in. He's not really on the same actually he's not that far. It's about a 10th off the fastest lap of the race there. Actually, it's a really good lap. But then again, BX pretty much matched his fastest lap of the race as well. So this is 2 extremely good heavyweights just throwing the hardest punches they have at each other right now. Look at BX again, another 0.2 of a second found in the first sector. Viking, however, finds 2 attempts on top of that. Viking right now closed it to 2.1. It was 2.3 before. Jamie 21.5 seconds off the back. Hurricane currently in 7th. It doesn't look like Viking has the same sort of cornering through the second sector that BX does, because BX has managed to gain the entirety of that time back. It should be coming up to the end of the sector. It actually just finished the sector. Let's see if BX can get... Oh, fastest lap of the race! Viking is not enjoying that in the background. Viking has just lost another 0.4 of a second by going way too deep. That might just be the nail in the coffin in this one. Viking just lost an entire second in the final sector of this race because of that little bit of a mistake, that little bit of an overshoot. And yeah, it's a 40.6 from BX. He is flying. It just looked like every single lap he gets stronger and stronger. There is no stopping that. I do not care who you are. If someone is driving like this, you do not beat them. I say that, guaranteed he loses now, commentator's curse. It's about 3.1. You see Viking is doing extremely well in the first sector, but he's just got nothing. Hang with BX in the third. Or usually in the second either. We're on lap 25. Reno has gone in off of the softs. Jamie's had a day and a half. Tier 4 represented extremely well today. Joe's on a medium tyre right now, hard lap turbine. I know for a fact Joe did his soft stint. I'm pretty sure Joe did his hard stint at the beginning of this race, I believe. Don't quote me on that one. It doesn't look too great there for Joe, a little bit too deep. I'm pretty sure. Oh, you don't want to be doing that too often. And saying too deep, it's very deep there for Joe, and well, any time he had on BX at this moment in time may have just halved. He's lost at least a second there. I think Joe is getting off of those tyres almost immediately. Honestly, that's probably a smart decision at this point in this race. BX now, your actual leader of this race, has been for a very long time. It looks like Viking is directly behind him. Viking keeping the pace right now, but seemingly, well, he's losing about a 10th a lap, and right now he can't be affording to lose time to BX. He has to actually be able to knock some of these out. Joe's gonna get overtaken here by, well, actually maybe, and that's Joe rejoining the track. It looks like Jamie and Perry have managed to go on through. Joe just behind them. And it looks like going through. It's 0.2 of a second now between Perry and Jamie. And it looks like, yeah, it doesn't look like an awful lot is going to happen. Going through the middle of the sector here. Perry actually just did the best first sector of the entire race so far. The 40.6, currently the fastest lap from BX. About 24 seconds splitting Viking and Perry though. These first two are well and truly far and away gone. But Viking right now is just not really holding on to BX at all. BX is on fire right now. I think this might be the best I've ever seen BX drive. You don't stop someone when they're in this sort of form. I know Viking is the tier 1 champion, and honestly, respect to that. You don't win a tier 1 championship by being bad, do you? You know, that's the end of the day. By BX, another 0.2 of a second off of his fastest lap, 40.4. Viking increased his fastest lap by 0.2 of a second there as well. Irvin getting a bit of gravel, and Viking also chunking a bit of that gravel as well. And that is just going to gain BX time rather than do anything else. That is the worst case scenario for Viking at this point in time if he wanted to win this race. He is just going to have to sit here. I think he's going to have to end second. It was just not meant to be for Viking today. That's, well, we're on lap 27 at 36, so that might be a preemptive saying. There might be a mistake in this for BX, but right now there isn't. And the longer we go, the less time you would expect BX to make a mistake in. BX is really, you don't get to the top of tier 1 by making mistakes. You just don't do it. But however, Viking right now has the number of BX on this lap, 0.2 of a second, until Viking again overshoots it in the third to last, and you just can't get away with that. As soon as I say you don't get to the top tier 1 with mistakes, Viking makes multiple of them and gives all the time he gained on BX right back to him, and you just cannot make those mistakes. Cannot do it. Perry currently 3 seconds ahead of Joe, who's managed to get past Jamie in all the kerfuffle with while we were watching the first two go hammer and tong at each other, and Joe again just overshooting the second to last. A couple of drivers having a bit of a problem with those the last couple of corners. Joe right now trying to hold off Jamie, who actually pits, which is interesting. On lap 27, are you telling me he couldn't go the entire way? I'm very surprised. Hurricane is going after Capel now. Hurricane is going to have a nice straight line speed here against that Porsche. 40.8 for Hurricane. That's a fast lap. And so here comes Hurricane on the outside. Hurricane may have got a little bit of too much of the gravel on the outside, and that hampered any sort of chance of getting through there. And Capel has done just about enough to hold on. It looks like Simon versus Fracas is going on yet again for what must have been probably the 20th lap of this race. Yeah, Simon's had a poor day at the office, that's for sure. But he's going to try and rectify it now with a top 10. If he can get past Fracas on the outside here. You've seen him in this gravel trap a few times. Can he get past Fracas? No, he cannot. Fracas doing more than enough to hold on. But now, until Simon again, just a little bit of contact and bullies his way through. On Fracas this time. And Simon moves up to 10, Duo right behind him. You also got Reno tacked onto the back of this trio and possibly about to make it a quartet. You got the two tier 5 drivers, a tier 4 and a tier 2 in this little battle here. We'll go back to see if Viking and BX have had a difference in their gap over the last couple of laps in a minute. And Juho's going to have a little look here at Fracas. Juho, the tier 5 champion, going to go to the inside here. Can he hang it on the inside? No, he cannot. Fracas does an excellent job of defending there. It doesn't look like Juho's going to have the opportunity to strike again right until the second corner here. He's not going to have the opportunity to strike at all. His tire's going to be dirty now. He's overshot The third to last corner. It's just a mistake again. Cannot make it. It might bring Reno into this. It will bring Reno into this. Reno's going to have a good shot with that straight line speed against the Merc down into turn 2. I don't think he's going to need to get to turn 2. Reno is going to get this relatively quickly on the, well, the inside there. He goes around turn 1, manages to get past Juho before we even hit turn 2. Juho's going to hang it on the inside though, and that might have forced Reno a bit wide, and yeah, Juho, knowing he made a mistake, lets him back through. That's good sportsmanship. Incredible sportsmanship there from Juho. Realising he made a mistake, allows Reno to go on through regardless. Simon has managed to make his way past Fracas and actually get away for once. You got Jill, who's in his own little world here, 4 seconds off the back of Jamie and 10.5 ahead of Simon. Jamie also in his own little world, same with Arthur. Hurricanes right on the back of Capel still, needs to find a way through. 1.8 currently sits between these two. The Mazda versus the Porsche, 2 OP cars. 2 cars you probably won't see in the many of the tiers next season. Capel, obviously a tier 1 driver from the start of the season, this time next week. Well, this time in 2 weeks' time, actually. Or just short of 2 weeks' time. Here, I'm thinking it's Monday. It's a Wednesday. Ignore that last comment. Capel, 2 seconds now ahead of Hurricane. Hurricane must have made a mistake in the last corner. Joe, 12.8 up in 4th, 3 seconds behind Perry, who's doing a very nice job to sit himself in 3rd place at the moment. And Viking has managed to close the gap. I'll give him that. He has closed the gap on BX, but he is, quite frankly, running out of time, and running out of time quickly. He has got to nail the next 6 laps, because he is very much running out of time. He's still 3 seconds. He's got to gain, what, roughly about half a second a lap, and with the squirrely exits, he's not going to do that. BX is just content to hold what he has right now. And quite frankly, I don't blame him. Viking, 40.1, the fastest lap of the race so far. BX has still not done a quicker lap than his 40.4. BX's tyre wear should be worse. Yeah, no, that's very evident. You see on the bottom left-hand side of your screen, if I flick between the two, you can see the tyres changing. Viking clearly have more on the tyre right now, but I still don't think that's enough of a tyre difference for the Tier 1 champion to realistically get back into this. He is closing the gap, obviously. That happens. Perry is pitted. Perry has pitted, and that's going to hand Joe a 3rd place. Hurricane losing time quite rapidly to Capel here. Capel obviously on the fresher tyres, flying right now, and his race has very much been saved from what, well, quite very poor start there from Capel at the start of this one. He's somehow managed to salvage this into a very decent result. The Hurricane ahead of Arthur, currently 5 seconds further back. Perry gone onto the hard tyres. He'll end the race on those hard tyres, I'm assuming. Jamie 5 seconds on the back of him now. You got Jill 3.7 seconds on the back of Jamie, so that gap is also coming down. But it's also, and he's also creating more of a gap to Simon, who's managed to get rid of the Fracas problem for a little bit. Reno also within 2 seconds of Fracas now. He's trying to do as well as he possibly can. Currently the worst of the 3 representing Tier 4 in this one. Juho currently sitting at the back of the grid. He's overshot again, and his day was doing well at the start, but it's going from bad to worse extremely quickly. And Evan, 33 seconds off the back of Reno, so Tier 5 relatively stuck at the back of this grid. It's sat in 14th, 13th and 11th, which is probably not the show in Tier 5 wanted tonight. Reno actually losing a little bit of time on Fracas, as Fracas looks to be the only one not ending in the bottom 3 from Tier 5. Simon clearing a gap on Fracas as well, just getting about 0.2 of a second since the last time we saw it. See if we can find any other battles up and down the grid. Perry currently 1.2 seconds ahead of Jamie. And we're actually going to take a quick look. See what... That time's coming down. We might have a chase at the end of this race. We might have a very interesting chance chase to end this race off. It's 2.2 seconds that split BX and the Tier 1 champion. Is there a way the Tier 1 champion just manages to get inside, get his nose in the end of this one? We're on lap 32, we're about to go on to lap 33. That means we've got 4 left in this one. Is that enough time for Viking to close 2.5 seconds? That's the real question. Viking's going to need to start chunking about 0.7 of a second a lap out of this just to be able to get in range. Can he do it? There's another 0.2 of a second that comes out the time. BX finding a little bit of the grass. Yeah, Tier 3's had a nice day. You don't want to be going too far to the inside there. You see from Viking behind, he's just going to actually lose a little bit of time on that chicane here from BX. Can Viking do it? Are we going to have a very interesting end to this race? It's coming down. Is it coming down quick enough? The moment it doesn't look like it's currently sticking to about 2.1. We'll see if anything else is happening. 2.7 between Capel and Hurricane. And that just simply isn't really coming down at all. Hurricane is running out of gas at this point. Started like a house on fire, but well and truly ran out of gas. Maybe just got the wrong sort of strategy in this one. Simon had left the room. I'm guessing he may or may not have made another mistake. Perry came out in 7th, and Jamie gets overtaken by Jill over the last couple of laps. Tier 2 drivers also doing pretty well today, apart from Simon, who's had a really bad day at the office. Also, Reno's going to have a go at Fracas at some point before the end of this race. I'd be surprised if he didn't get close enough by the end of this one. The two at the back, well and truly squared off from the rest of this pack. Fracas and Reno 125 off the back of the leaders. Reno 1.2 might be... We're actually going to keep a little bit of an eye on this and then flick back to the leading pack as we go through the race. Reno should be able to close the gap a little bit here. Straight line speed is definitely a positive on that Ford. He's also on soft tyres compared to the mediums of Fracas in front of him. At least Fracas now knows that he can't end in the bottom 3. That is a privilege that goes to Simon, Juho and Irvin for this one. It doesn't look like Reno's closing that gap all that much through that middle sector, even with the long up the hill straight. Reno going a little bit deep, a little bit of grass kicking up in the third to last. Maybe closes the door a little bit into the second to last and through the final corner. He certainly should get within a second going down to turn 2. Actually, he's not even going to need to get down to turn 2 before getting into a second. He's in a second now. Let's see what happens between now and turn 2, and then we'll flick back to the lead of this race. It doesn't look like Reno's going to be able to do an awful lot. He is within 0.6 of a second now. Managed to get within 0.6 of a second, but goes a bit deep and gives at least 2 or 3/10 of that back immediately. Jill has got past Perry as well, and well, this is Tier 2 prowess coming to fruition against the Tier 4 drivers at this point in time. Jill just having a nice run at this. Perry's not really going to be able to do an awful lot either. Hurricane must have had a problem. Hurricane must have had a problem because he is all over the place right now. He's also lost 3 seconds since the last time we came to him on Capel, and now has his teammate from Tier 3 right up on the back of him. That's a sight you never want to see if you're Hurricane. Something that was extremely comfortable at the start, not so comfortable anymore. It's now 2 seconds. He has managed to bring it within 2 seconds, Viking, but I think it's going to be too little too late. I think it's going to be too little too late for Viking. He's going to get within a second, but that's about it. BX is going to be able to cruise this one over the line. I think this is going to be, especially if you go over the lap, if he keeps this 1.9, you're about to be you're about to watch, sorry, the safest lap I've ever seen. I don't think BX is going to be pushing the marker very much right now. Oh, that's a bit deep. That's a bit deep. Viking may have not gone deep there. I think Viking lost time. Viking may have followed him in. BX gets a little bit away with that one. You don't want to be kicking up too much there. You start kicking up too much there, then that's going to make your tyres all warm, and when your tyres are basically dead as they are on both of these cars, that could lead to a last lap spin. We're on the last lap now. Arthur's gone past Hurricane. As we go into the, they're still on lap 35, a little bit of tap on Hurricane, well, from Hurricane on Arthur there, as Arthur's going to be able to really get going here. And I don't think Hurricane's got a lot left in the tank at all. Perry actually going to be fighting against Jamie here. The hard tyre to end on was not a smart choice. And Jamie just going to hang it on the outside. That is extremely nicely done by Jamie, albeit given the massive compound of tyre in difference, and Reno got past Rakos quite a while back. Rakos not really going to be able to do anything here. Reno's soft tyres should see him through the end of this. Perry's not going to be able to fight back against Jamie an awful lot either. Unless Jamie keeps doing that. Jamie's overshot that. You don't want to be doing that at all. Perry might have something here. And someone span. Someone span. That's Fracas. Fracas cannot get the car out the wall. I don't know if there's ghosting on for this. And Viking can't get his car out the grass either. That was a little bit all over the place. Viking has lost it. Viking has definitely lost it now. The Tier 1 champion usurped by a title challenger. And what does this mean going into the new season? BX going over the line, or is about to go over the line on lap 36 of 36, weaving down the straight. And BX has gone over the line to win the ROC in the SLS, which is a feat in his own. What a win there from BX. Absolutely deserved. Absolutely deserved. Convincing drive there from BX. Strategy was right. Played his cards right. The undercut turning out to be the difference. But BX should be absolutely proud of himself tonight. That might be the best drive I've ever seen from him. Viking has nothing to be ashamed of. He might be cursing the few mistakes we saw him make. But the Tier 1 champion usurped by his challenger. And that is going to be your headline going into the final race of the first race of the new season. Yeah, Keen also, the Tier 3 champion, beaten as well. In the end, beaten quite convincingly by his teammate. Well, I don't think he was actually Tier 3 champion in the end, was he? No, he wasn't. But Hurricane definitely the fastest driver in Tier 3, but usurped by Arthur in the end. Jill coming second in the Tier 2. Joe in the podium is an extremely good drive for him. Absolutely flying. Might have been put in the wrong tier based on this one. Aston Martin's not exactly a great car either. Jamie gets 8th in the end. Reno gets 9th, and Perry actually left the session, so he takes one of the final places, him and Simon, 2 of the final 3, which isn't going to be too good on their records at the end of this. But in the end of the day, that is huge. That is huge. What a day. And I had more than enough fun commentating that race. I'm really glad I'm doing this every single week from now on. But I've taken up an hour of your time. I enjoyed everything. I hope you guys enjoyed that too. But until next time, in a bit.